So, Libra, this one's for you. Yes, that's you, Libra. This is your general report from Tarot Lumination for October 2017. Yay. Now, we all know that you lovely Libras like to be comfortable, happy, and everything is nice. Okay? And so the whole idea of being upset and having to go off into some evolutionary pathway is a little unsettling at times. But hey, we all have to do it, so don't worry. Don't worry, Libra. It's going to be fine. Now, cards were already well shuffled in advance. We're just doing a few more to the very last second. Kaboom, no jumpers, no flyers, but you saw that. Let's just say things could get exciting. Okay? We'll see. You know the drill. You've done this before. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Craft it all together into your own story and reinterpret everything to suit you. Okay? This is just broad energy readings. It's not your straightforward tarot. And the readings are for you, so it's up to you to make something out of it, okay? All I can do is tell a story here. Now, what else I have to do? No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. We got that. Okay, so we did all that. No more preambles. Okay, let's just get into it. All right, now I want to do one more little big, sorry, a big chunky split. Oh, what is happening? That's not normal, getting all these jumpers and flyers. And I didn't want you to see that card either. So just ignore all of that, all right? Okay, we've shuffled. We've shuffled, and now we're cutting. All right? That's how we're going to do this. Let's just jump right in. Here is the heart center. All right? The very core. Here's the legacy energy you're bringing in with you from, let's call it, the past. This could be going back a long way. This could be going back a few weeks, a couple of years, whatever it might be. But it's legacy energy that you're bringing in with you. Maybe it's baggage. Maybe it's light. Maybe it's wonderful. We don't know. And then this is the ever-present now of you moving through October as gracefully as you can. Okay, and on the understanding that you're always consciously or unconsciously making decisions on the way, and this would indicate the decision to act and make the decision and act on the decision. That would be this energy here. Okay, and then on the understanding, of course, that once you make a decision, you're activating your evolutionary path, and there are consequences. And when you make a decision, it's on the understanding that you're facing the great beyond, the great unknown, where anything and everything can happen. You don't always know the outcome. So there's always an energy of fear and trepidation or joy and potential excitement. That's what happens when you make a decision moving forward. Okay? What if it all goes wrong? Or wouldn't it be amazing if it all works out? You know, that kind of energy. So on that understanding, here is something that could indicate how to move forward effectively, whatever is going on here, so that you make the best of the situation and so that it works for the best for you, which is ultimately the best for everybody. Okay? I know you understand that, Libra. And this would be, given the laws of attraction, that you would be creating your own world, your own universe. This would just naturally come to you as a consequence. However, if you don't like that approach, you could just see this as fate that kind of like showed up. It's your choice, okay? And then over here, this would be that card of the fears and the shadows and also the excitements and possibilities given the decisions that you make. And this would be the momentum going forward, okay? So I hope you see this. Can you see this as like a little heart here? Do you see that? That's what I'm trying to do. That's what we try to focus on this channel is heart energy, love energy, healing power of love. And at the very core, of course, is the heart itself. All right? That would be here. And we're going to look at the bottom card in just a second because I like to think of that as the weather that's surrounding you, surrounding the situation, and that you're going to make the best of it, okay? Oh, so, you know, Libra, you are one of those planets of relationship, those signs of relationship ruled by Venus, the planet of love and harmony and, you know, the good things in life. And it might just be that, let's see, a lot of people see this as a soulmate card, the little Six of Cups. And it might be that you're also aware that you're dealing with soulmate type energy around you right now, but it also could be a nostalgia for what used to be. In other words, you might be outgrowing a situation or circumstances are changing around you in such a way that you're becoming aware, very, very strongly aware of what was and how beautiful that was in its own way. But you might also be aware that this is in the past, okay? And no matter how beautiful it is, there might be a very beautiful, like soulmate connection that uh, like permeates your life and your world right now. On the other hand, it's like also the awareness that yes, there is the presence, but there's also the awareness that is might be like you're on a nostalgia trip about what was and how it all used to be so good, how it all used to be so lovely, and wouldn't it be awesome if we actually had that now? Because this is very much to do with the past. There might have been a tremendous amount of love shared and exchanged here. This also could be the energy of an indication that uh, maybe some kind of soulmate energy would be a wish of yours. Something, if you don't really have that now, maybe that's what you're wishing for. Maybe you've had an impression or feeling of what it's like, but now you want the real feel, the real deal, so to speak. Let's have a look. I know you like things to be harmonious and balanced, and having disruptions in your life and the world is the very last thing you would want. So, of course, it makes it a little awkward if you're getting shoved and jolted and jarred and pulled and pushed into these really uh, convulsive evolutionary patterns that are happening with us right now, especially in August with the eclipses and all this North Node stuff going on. So let's have a look. What's at the core? Deep, deep transformation, Libra. It's on the understanding that you know you're going through something big. You might not know exactly what it is. You might not have a word for it or a language for it. And it might be simmering inside of you in such a way where you can feel a shedding going on, where there's a cutting and cutting, like the scythe, the grim reaper, as they call it, that comes along, comes to all of us and says, enough of that. That part is dead, gone, obsolete. Okay, it has to go. It is time to go. And you can't resist it. You can't stop it. And of course, the more you let's just because I feel the death card because also can also be very closely associated with healing because it's scorpionic type energy, which can be very, very powerful in terms of healing, in terms of transformational energy healing. Okay, because on the Terra Lumination channel, that's kind of a prominent theme. Uh, Vibrational energy healing and the healing power of love and how it can move into your life and through your life and out into the world around you. So with this here at your very core, you might be very aware that big transformations are happening whether you like it or not. And the more you resist the need for healing, the more the need for healing persists. Okay? Just throwing that in there to help you understand that this kind of energy is inevitable. There's no going back here. It's it's a very strong card of indicating evolutionary pressure, no matter the pain. Okay, so I'm not trying to scare you here, Libra, or anything. I'm just indicating that deep in your core, you're either saying to yourself, bring it on. I need to do this. I want to go through this, or you know it's happening and you might be scared of this evolutionary energy that's happening, but you also deep down understand, you do deep down know that this is inevitable, and perhaps you're not taking it too personally. Or if you are trying to hold on to what, let's say, the status quo or the past, then you're just simply making your life harder on yourself. What are you bringing in with you here? Let's have a look. Okay, this certain cards have been showing up a lot. We have the Knight of Cups here. It might be an indication that you have every good intention to, let's just say, bring home the love, so to speak, but it might be in ways that you've never really understood before or known how to do before. The intention there is good, and that you have very much. I often see this as coming home from the wars, where it's like giving up. Like, I don't even want to deal with this problem anymore because it's futile. I don't want to be battling issues that can't be won just for the sake of battle, or feeling like I have to prove or win something. Because by deliberately withdrawing from a conflict and gracefully saying, I accept the transformation that's happening, and I bless this with love. I'm not willing to fight this. It doesn't make any sense to fight it. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. I'm coming home to the love. I'm going to love myself first and foremost, and in so doing, be the best and most loving person for those around me, so that it becomes reciprocal and you have a chance to be on the receiving end of that. Okay? So I feel that this is very noble of you, Libra, to wish this for yourself, wish this for others, bring this home into your environment. That's very good, because it's like you're actually bringing in the love that needs to happen. Um, However, I feel again, it's with this energy here of the Six of Cups, there is a feeling of like wishing things could be the way they were, wanting that to happen, making the love happen. However, on the understanding that things are transforming and changing forever, irreversibly. So it's like the intentions are good here, the desire is good, but there might be doubts about the outcome of where this is heading, because this is deeply transformational energy. And it might actually indicate that you've already brought a lot of love into the equation of your life already, into your world, your relationships, your people, your home, your family, your person, yourself, a dear loved one, others in particular. And that's good. However, things are changing and there's no going back here. So this feels kind of awkward to me. I just want to mention that. So where does that put you in terms of the present, the ever-present now? So let's say that's happening and you're moving through, living through October with this awakening that deep transformation is happening at the core of your being, and you have every good intention for this to work, although there might be some resistance, because a lot of the times Libras would rather just be comfortable than have to deal with this kind of really tumultuous ripping away and shredding and cutting and slicing away of what no longer works, cutting away the dead wood, cutting away what, the debris, so to speak. So in the present, you might feel as though I'm actually kind of glad to see this, because then it kind of validates what I was feeling deep in my heart myself, is that you might be kind of you might be in a state of conflict deep inside of yourself, struggling with this awareness of the transformation that's starting to happen. And even though you have the best of intentions, and you might want to perpetuate and add the love to the love that you knew, however, with the transformation that's occurring, you might also be aware that with transformational energy healing, there's kind of no going back. And that puts you kind of at odds with yourself. So that's what I'm feeling here, is that you end up kind of at odds with yourself, where you have all the best of intentions, and you definitely have the love to give and the love to share, and yet the transformation itself is leaving you in a sensation, like a feeling like, oh my gosh, does that mean this soul love, this deep soulmate love, could actually truly be in the past? And would I have to accept that? We don't know. but it leaves you, let's say, battling with inside yourself. I don't see this as too much external conflict. You might, if you're in conflict with others, it's not very malicious or anything. It's just like active expression of perhaps what needs to be expressed. And perhaps there are certain things that need to be expressed that might be uncomfortable. You might be uncomfortable with the transformation that's happening deep in your core. Even though you know you want it, even though you know you need it, it might be very uncomfortable to the point where you would express that openly, and it might just come out spontaneously like, I can't stand this. I don't know what's happening here. I'm really upset. It's making me angry. I don't know how to deal with this. And on the other hand, if you're struggling with this transformation here, despite your best intentions, and you're like tripping up on yourself, so to speak, that could attract, like, let's say, reciprocal conflict from another or others in ways that are leaving you feel like, well, wait a minute, what are you telling me? Why are you beating up on me? Like, I don't get what's going on here. I'm the love. I bring home the love. I am the love. And that's great. Now, this is not a love relationship reading. This is just general energy, Libra. So I'm trying to keep it broad and wide and just focus on the energy, not even the characters of the people, okay? But I do see internal conflict with yourself, battling inside yourself, relative to this transformation that's going on inside of you at the deep heart, deep soul level. And it's not serious in the way that you're hurting yourself, but you might feel it as a deep internal struggle that you would rather not have to deal with. Let's just put it that way. How about that? So moving forward with this, this feels very awkward to me, in that with the raw energy of transformation and the inevitability here and the ultimate awesome good outcome somewhere perhaps long down the road, and coming in with the best of intentions for the present based on, let's say, predetermined preconceptions from the past, it puts you at odds with yourself, because it's very hard to evolve by insisting on holding on to the past that was or might have been very beautiful and loving, even with the best of intentions, because sometimes things just change and they have to be released and let go, and we move on. So that puts you in a spot where you're going to have to make decisions about moving on. How am I going to get through October? How am I going to do? What am I going to do? Da-da. Okay, it's an admission that you're kind of, I feel this is like you're, well, the obvious approach, the obvious perspective is that you're stuck and scared to face what's actually happening. It's like you might actually be not just scared of the transformation, you might be unwilling to go through it. And so you're deliberately making the decision not to decide by literally binding yourself to what you think should be or could have been or what might have been, which is a form of binding, but it's also masking yourself to the realities of the transformation that's going on inevitably. So like you're putting yourself in a state of conflict here with yourself, and moving forward, realizing that it's almost like, wow, I'm stuck in a maze now. I'm stuck in a puzzle. I know I have to keep going. I know I have to keep going. I know I have to figure out all these things, these issues, these attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs that I might have been living with for a very long time without knowing it, based on something beautiful from long, long, long ago. And I just want to keep the good stuff going. And yet transformation is occurring, and that puts you in a very awkward spot with yourself, where like you might not want to do this. You might want to pretend it's not even happening, and yet you know it has to happen. So it's like you're stuck knowing that this has to happen, but not wanting to really get on board with it. In fact, almost resisting it. So in some ways, you're actually making life harder for yourself. So let's see, how can we move forward knowing that you have to move forward? It's like going into a maze and accepting that you're not going to know where you're going all the time. You're going to end up going down blind alleys and dead ends and in circles in order to get where you have to go. And that's frustrating, especially if you've already been used to something very loving and wonderful that had consistency for a long time, based on the long ago. But we're dealing with the present here. And in the present, we're dealing with deep soul heart energy transformation. And it seems like you're having a problem with this. So we're going to move on anyway, despite the reluctance here. So how do we move on effectively so that the transformational energy can have more of a chance of working? You know, so I'll say it again, the more you resist the need for healing, the more the need for healing persists, okay? So let's move forward here. How are we going to move forward effectively? Okay, all right, with the Queen of Cups here, it feels to me, I feel really awkward with this. It feels to me it's all about tuning into a higher purpose, higher meaning of love, where it's like understanding like there's a whole bigger vibration expression of love that you may be coming into awareness now based on what you've already learned, what you already know from the past, which gives you very solid foundations on the understanding of love in the very purest, simplest sense. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to keep that going. However, the energy might be more on the focus on like love one's self first here, bring home the love to oneself first, which would be the most appropriate thing to do right now, rather than looking to the outside, rather than looking to nostalgic situations, circumstances, peoples, or relationships for the solution. In other words, be willing to admit that you are evolving and you have to grow and you have to face these issues, which are like more like intellectual concepts, but they do affect how you feel at the deep core of your heart. So when you integrate these two energies, these two cards together, Queen of Cups and the Eight of Swords here, it's more like, okay, it's saying to yourself, it's almost like, okay, Libra, we're going to do this. We know we have to do it. There's no way out of it. We have to learn and understand like love on a higher frequency, love on a bigger scale than we've ever done before, which sounds all very noble and wonderful. It's just that it might not be what you want or what you were expecting or ever imagined how things would work out. So there's no question that there's a lot of love here in your spread, your report for October, Libra. But it's the question, more the question is, how is this going to evolve and how is it going to pan out in a way that actually works and is effective for you so that you don't get stuck in the past and kind of wallow in it and realize that there might be a lot of internal challenges that need to be faced. So it could be like having to live as if, where you have to really this time around extend yourself like never before. In other words, take this whole natural energy and way of being up a whole notch, where it's not just about, you know, you being loving and you being loved, and you don't want to deal with the conflicts that go along with evolution, transformation. You just want to love and be loved, and that's fine. That's great. You want to keep that torch going, fine. However, with the Queen of Cups here, it's an indication that there is more that has to be done, where you're being called upon to transform, to express and live and carry and radiate a higher frequency version of love than you've ever done before, which might put a very different experience on what you already know as love. In other words, allowing for deep shifts and transformation in your heart into how love like would be experienced outwardly, externally, in your world, in your relationships, in your life, in your home, in your activities, in ways that you've never known before, never experienced before, because you might have been shutting yourself off from a lot of it, because you just didn't want to know. So what does that lead to? Okay, well, celebration. There's so much love here. I mean, there's a ton of Cups cards here. So what's going on? What is going on, Libra? It might be an indication that you would be attracting almost like what you need, so to speak, to the point where you can officially celebrate now that you understand that you're being called upon to rise up to higher frequencies. That's cool. And you can share that with yourself and with others, especially your significant others, the ones that you deeply love in your life, in your world, in all aspects. Wherever this love energy is like flooding and pouring into your life and changing from the inside out, it's going to transform you in ways that you've never known before or imagined before, perhaps to higher frequencies, higher level understandings of love, which actually might start to become pleasurable enough where the fear of evolving starts to dissolve. And you think, actually, this is kind of cool because deep down, if I'm really, really honest, I have to admit I have a lot of problems and I had a lot of problems and I need to grow out of this stuff and move on. Wherever this deep transformation at the heart level is happening in your greater life, in your world. This is not a love relationship reading, but there are an awful lot of cup cards involved here. So it can relate to the relationship aspects of your life, okay? Whether it's in the workplace, the family, the home, loved ones, children, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, all of that kind of stuff. Any aspect of your life. Okay? So, what's the fear if it's not working? What happens if it all works out? It's more love, it's more love, more love, more love, Libra. In other words, if you allow this to happen, if you gracefully allow like literally the healing power of love to flow and move through your life in a way that is deeply, deeply, profoundly transformational, it will be very, very good for you in ways that you could never have imagined. It could be a release of all these bindings that you might have been wrapped around yourself. Have you ever seen that picture of the war soldier? It's a beautiful photo. I wish I had it here to show you. It's of this warrior type person energy who is so wrapped up in armor and bandages that there's nothing else to the person anymore. And they're defiantly and bravely still holding up their swords, um, uh, trying to get by. But it doesn't matter how many bandages you're wrapping around yourself, uh, the stuff, the pain, and the conflicts and issues are still like bleeding wounds, and it's oozing through no matter how many layers of bandage. So by releasing and by allowing the transformation to occur, it's like a shedding of all these layers and layers and layers and layers of bandages that were just being piled up over and over and over again to the point where it's not even working anymore. And then as you unwind it all and gently remove all the bandages and reveal what needs to be healed, guess what happens? You're removing the obstacles to happiness. I see this as actually quite a long-term trajectory beyond October and November, where it turns into a very loving experience for you, where you actually really feel it as joy, the joyous release of transformation, of the opening of the heart, in a very, very big way like never before, but from giving you a very different perspective on life in your world that you didn't even know existed before because you might have been so entrenched in the past. So where does that lead you? It leads you to a position where you can now really take charge of your life in ways that you might have not ever been able to do before, simply because you had been so resistant to the changes, the deep, profound changes that need to happen and that will inevitably occur. So by graciously and gently and calmly allowing the circumstances and people and situations in your life to, let's say, even allow them to remove the bandages for you so that you can face your own internal conflicts and gently, get into some healing, receive some healing, and enjoy it and feel it. it can be extremely liberating. It can be very, very much to do with opening the heart in a very, very big way that has never happened before. So you can start to integrate all these very, very like painful energies that you can't face, you don't want to face, and bring them into the light so that it becomes part of you. And this stuff does not own you anymore. You're not owned by your deeply buried shadows and fears and sufferings. You can actually love and radiate and celebrate that love in much bigger, bolder, brighter ways than you could have ever done before, which gives you a much greater sense of having a life of your own now, as opposed to a life that was owned by, let's say, a dream of the past that might have been, even though dreams of the beautiful past instead of, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied, dreams of a past that was beautiful. In other words, there might be so much love around you still, more than you've ever known before. It might not have been so evident, but now it's becoming very, very apparent. But the transformation means having to perceive your whole life and your world from a very different perspective than ever before, on the understanding what love really is, what it really, really is. It's very, very empowering. It's love is as love does, okay? So I'm really happy for you, Libra, in this way. It gives you a chance to like really grab your life where you can own the steering wheel and be in charge and not be at the mercy of your fears and shadows and not be at the mercy of a beautiful distant past that may not exist anymore. Okay? So I hope you get something out of it, Libra. Make the best of it, please. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising and have a super October. Bye-bye. Bye.